What is up, everybody? Back finally with a new video here, and it's going to be one that I haven't done this style of video really, but my buddy Pete over on Sea of Tranquility was doing this with their In the Prog Seat show they do. They were talking about prog bands mainly. They were going through all the letters, but for me, just metal bands here I'm going to do. Gonna go along. I know it's going to be pretty tough when I get to like X and Y and some of these letters, but we'll see what happens. But of course, going to start with A, my 10 favorite metal bands that start with the letter A. And of course, I know there's going to be some bands I might leave off that are the more popular picks and whatnot, but I'm just giving you my 10 favorites, the 10 bands that start with the letter A that I personally like the best right now. I got them in order. So number 10, I got Anacrusis. Really great band, classic progressive thrash. First album came out in 1988. Suffering Hour, which I have previously listed. Actually, the very first video I did on Sea of Tranquility a couple of years back was top 10 thrash debuts, just me and Pete, and I had that on the list. It was one of my top 10 thrash debuts, so love the album, great stuff. It's a bit more aggressive and maybe a bit darker than the stuff that came out after this from this band, but the band, I think, remained really, really great all through their 4 albums. Their most recent was Screams and Whispers in 1993, and even though they did get more progressive, sometimes I don't like it when bands do that, but in this case, I think that they stayed great. So, really cool band. They're from Missouri and St. Louis up there. So, cool stuff. They're not together anymore. Maybe they'll get back together. Who knows? But their main guy, Ken Nardi, really great musician, vocals and guitar. All those guys really, really top tier musicians, though. Number 9, I got Artillery, another thrash band. These guys from Denmark. Classic stuff. Formed in 1982. They've been, on and off throughout the years, like broken up for a little while, back together, broken up, back together. They've been back together since 2009, I believe, or at least as far as albums go. They've put out like 6 since 2009. Been on a strong run, but, I like the classic stuff the best, of course. I think By Inheritance from 1990 is just an absolute masterpiece. That's another one I've talked about in previous ranking videos. I had it in my top 10 thrash albums of all time. Just crazy musicianship. Michael and Morten Stutzer, really, really great guitar players. Morten, unfortunately, did pass away in 2019. Brothers that were in the band together. So RIP to him, but they're fantastic guitarists. And By Inheritance, just really, really cool, unique sounding album. The production's great. Has kind of a Middle Eastern flair on some of the guitar tones and stuff, which, I think makes it have a really cool atmosphere and stuff. So check that out. Of course, Terror Squad and a bunch of their other albums are really great as well. But By Inheritance, easily their best. Amazing stuff. Number 8. This is a band that it's debatable by some people that if they're metal or not, but for me, I think they got plenty of stuff that's heavy and dark enough to count as a metal band, and that is Alice in Chains. I've always been a big fan of them. They're the only band, I've said this a lot, that is associated with grunge that I even remotely like, and I really like them. They're great. Jerry Cantrell, amazing guitar player. Lane Staley had a really powerful, great voice. Of course, Facelift, Dirt, some really, really great classic albums. We Die Young, amazing song to open up Facelift. Of course, they got the hits and whatnot, but really cool band. Hope to see them in concert one day. And kind of weird story. A couple of years ago, my friend and I, this was in like 2015, we were walking through the Marietta Square in Georgia. William Duvall, the guy who's been their singer since, they got back together in the mid-2000s, he was just randomly standing there. We're like, "Are you William Duvall?" And he's like, "Yeah." Took a picture, and he was cool. He was nice. He's not as good as Lane Staley, but he does do a great job, filling those shoes. It's tough to do, but I think he's a good enough replacement for them to carry on, as they wish. But cool band. And my number 7, I'm going to go with Ancient. First black metal band on the list. At this point, black metal is my favorite subgenre. These guys are from Norway. They started off kind of like the more aggressive, raw, evil black metal that, you typically hear from Norway around this time. First album, Svartalfheim in 1994. Really great debut. Their main guy, Azaghal, he's going by the name Zell now. He's done a little bit of everything. He didn't do the vocals on this album. He started doing them in 1998, I believe, but Grim was the guy doing vocals at this point, and man, this guy has like a really evil, dark, typical voice you kind of hear in black metal, from this time especially, but I think it fits the music extremely well. Just amazing album. It's one of my favorite black metal debuts, one of my favorite black metal albums in general. They've kind of shifted their sound a bit. After that, they started incorporating some more like symphonic elements, trying to sound a little bit like Cradle of Filth. I think a lot of bands started doing that in the mid-90s that were the, kind of black metal bands trying to go along with that symphonic, gothic-ish black metal melodic stuff, but They did it pretty well, not as well as Cradle of Filth, I'll say, but, you know, still great stuff. Candy and Chronicle from 96, cool album from them. And their most recent album, actually, I think is really good. Back from the Land of the Dead in 2016. So the stuff between that is kind of hit or miss. It depends. But those 3 albums I think are absolutely fantastic. Halls of Eternity, actually, from 1999. Another really great album. But, yeah, cool band. Number 7, Ancient. Number 6, I'm going to go with Accept. And Accept, great classic band. A typical pick that I think I'll see in a lot of y'all's lists in the comments. Great band from Germany. One of the best from Germany. Big, heavy riffs. Of course, Wolf Hoffmann. Really great guitarist, great rhythm player, great riff guy, balls to the wall. You know, really fantastic riff. One of the best of all time. Sometimes I turn that on actually a decent bit still to this day. It's a classic song that, you know, I've heard a million times, but that riff is still just amazing. Metal Heart's another great album. Restless and Wild. Some of their modern stuff is good, but Death Row from the 90s I think is a really, really great one. Udo Dirkschneider was a really cool, unique voice. Mark Tornillo, I think, you know, fills in pretty well for him. Got a similar style, kind of raspy voice as Udo, but of course Udo was the man, and Accept's a great band. So my number 5, I'm going to go with another black metal band. I got Archgoat. These guys are from Finland. They actually formed in 1993. Or actually, they formed in 89. I got that wrong. 1989. They broke up in 93 originally. And then were, you know, not doing anything for like 10 years. Then they got back together, finally put out their debut. They've actually got twin brothers as the bassist / vocalist and the guitarist. These guys' names, Lord Angel Slayer and Ritual Butcherer, are their stage names. Of course, you know, the black metal guys got to come up with their random stage names and whatnot. But really cool band, very heavy black metal. Dark, aggressive, evil, all that stuff that is typical with, you know, Scandinavian black metal. They're from Finland. But Luciferian Crown, a lot of great stuff from them. All Christianity Ends. Worship the Eternal Darkness. A lot of cool albums, but they're actually, their last couple of releases, which I just listed off there, are some of my favorites they've ever done. So they're in pretty good shape. I think they're on the bill for Maryland Death Fest next year, which I will most likely be at. So looking forward to seeing them next year. Number 4, I'm going to go with Akhlys or Achilles, however they pronounce their name. Really, really great black metal band. And here's where I'm talking about, like, I know that this isn't the most popular pick and whatever, but it's my 10 favorites. And this band, I freaking love their sound. They've got 3 albums. The first one was pretty much just like ambient noise. There wasn't much to it, but the last 2 since then, 2015 and 2020, The Dreaming and Melanoy, it's tough to pronounce, but really great stuff. Freaking really unique sound. It's kind of like almost like the guitar tone, of course, super evil, very aggressive. Love the blast beats. Amazing melody, but still super aggressive at the same time. It's almost got kind of like a mechanical feel and flair. It's weird to describe. You'll understand what I'm saying if you listen to it, but this is one of my favorite bands I've ever seen live. I saw them at Psycho Las Vegas last year. Super amazing show at, you know, one of the smaller venues within the resort it was at. Like at Psycho, it was at a place called Resorts World, and there was small venues, there was big venues, and this was at like the smaller bar venue, and it was just really small, intimate show, which was absolutely fantastic. So check them out if you don't know them. Aggressive black metal that has some really cool atmosphere and, you know, just great melodies, riffs, tone. It's all there. Number 3, I got Azaghal. Almost started to say Azazel, different band, but Azaghal, great black metal from Finland. These guys, aggressive, raw, dirty, kind of thrashy, a lot of cool stuff with them. Probably go with Beasts and Vultures from 2002 is my favorite by them. They've got a new album coming out. A couple of the singles sound amazing. Omega, Nemesis from 2008 and 2012, both really good releases as well. But fantastic band that is just freaking awesome. Great guitar, great black metal. Number 2, I got Anthem. Great Japanese metal band. I've gone back and forth between them and Loudness, but at this point, I think Anthem is my favorite band from Japan. Akio Shimizu, an absolute guitar god. Hiroya Fukuda, their guitar player they had on the first handful of albums as well. Just an absolute amazing shredder. But Akio Shimizu, been with them since Domestic Booty in 1992. This guy, just ridiculous, face melting, just shredding solos that flow really nicely. A lot of great stuff. Black Empire, one of their more recent albums, is really great, and Domestic Booty, probably a couple of my favorites, but you could really just list through any of their albums. No Smoke Without Fire from 1990. A lot of great stuff from these guys. And my number one, to nobody's surprise that has been watching my channel for a while, it's got to be Annihilator. Love him. Jeff Waters is in my top 5 guitar players of all time. The guy is just, when you talk about shredders, he comes to mind as being like the top guy. He's got the tone, the riffs, the shredding is freaking ridiculous. Like, you know, the flow, you know, he's chaotic but controlled is what I'll say about him. If you watch him play, you can watch this playthrough for the song, The Trend. He just like nails it perfectly. Absolutely mind-blowing stuff, face melting, just amazing. But they've got a lot of great albums, you know, of course, Never Neverland and Alice in Hell, their first 2 albums. Never Neverland, the second one, of course, said that backwards. But people sometimes say that those are the only 2 good Annihilator albums, but I don't think that's even remotely close to true. Those are the 2 best, but Carnival Diablos, Waking the Fury, they're self-titled from 2010. Some really great modern albums from them. Jeff, just an absolute shred machine, guitar god, so as long as he's there, you know, one thing people complain about is different vocalists all the time. I don't care. As long as Jeff's there, I love it. So, love Annihilator, they are my number 1, and some honorable mentions, which I probably should have listed after my number 2, but, of course, Anthrax, great band, I've seen them live, I love them. Actually, this shirt was the Slayer Anthrax Death Angel tour, and Anthrax was opening up, and it was a good show. So great band, no disrespect to them, but they're just not in my top 10 right now. Armored Saint, another great band I've seen live. Armageddon, another great Swedish black metal band. Azaghal, great, all-female black metal band, actually, that is really good, modern stuff. They got 2 albums that are both great. Azaghal, great Japanese, black thrash. Angel Witch, new wave of British heavy metal legends. Acid, great Belgian heavy metal. K. De Lombart, really cool female vocals with that band. ADX, another great European classic metal band. Agent Steel, and I guess I could list Alice Cooper. Not all of his stuff's metal, but honorable mention for sure. And that's all I've got listed at the moment, but of course, y'all can let me know in the comments what y'all thought about my list, and give me your list in the comments. And until next time, thank y'all for watching.